Good evening, RENEWS English section is on air. I am Sona Tumanyan. Elchin Amirbekov, the representative of the President of Azerbaijan for special assignment, has announced that the discussion on the draft text of the peace treaty between Armenia and Azerbaijan have been completed. According to him, a historic opportunity has been created to establish lasting peace in the South Caucasus. Furthermore, he reiterated Azerbaijan's preconditions, namely a change to the constitution of Armenia and the dissolution of the OSCE Minsk group. The National Assembly continues to discuss the Prosecutor General's motions to strip 3 opposition MPs of their immunity. On the agenda of the extraordinary session are the following issues: stripping MP Artur Sargsyan of the NA Hayastan faction of his immunity and authorizing his detention; stripping Seyran Ohanyan, leader of the Hayastan faction, and Artvik Minasyan, its secretary, of their immunity to initiate criminal prosecution against them. In the cases of Artvik Minasyan and Seyran Ohanyan, there is no motion for detention. The dispute over this issue between the ruling and opposition MPs continued during today's session.
The National Assembly is continuing its debate on stripping opposition deputies of their immunity. On the agenda of the special session are the issues of stripping Artur Sargsyan, a deputy from the Armenia faction, of his immunity and authorizing his arrest, as well as stripping Seyran Ohanyan, the head of the Armenia faction, and Artvik Minasyan, the secretary, of their immunity and initiating criminal prosecution against them. There is no motion for the arrest of Artvik Minasyan and Seyran Ohanyan. The discussion is proceeding with arguments between pro-government and opposition deputies. According to Tigran Abrahamyan, the unacceptable process against Artvik Minasyan was predictable amidst the raging repressions in the country.
In the absence of a desirable outcome, the government is resorting to propaganda attacks, defamation of political opponents, and deprivation of liberty.
Opposition deputies emphasize that the Prosecutor General does not have answers to many questions, or at least does not voice them.
By reading the same text from the motion several times in response to different questions, you are proving that you have no legal justification for the accusation. You are carrying out a political order.
Vahang Alexanian displayed a photograph of a private house in Sevan National Park, which according to him was built by Seyran Ohanyan on an illegal plot of land. The deputies stress that the motion for detention is not political persecution.
What your faction is saying is this: it's good that Seyran built a large mansion on state land. It's good that he took military employees to serve as guards. It's good that Ohanyan's driver's brother won the tender and Artvik just signed it.
Pro-government deputies, retorting to the opposition, state that they are the ones subjecting the Prosecutor General to political persecution.
You've hidden behind this political podium so that the hands of law enforcement cannot reach you. This is your shell, but it breaks when there are justifications.
Artvik Minasyan insists that what angers him most is the illogical nature of the accusation brought against him.
If you present it logically, I would be ashamed to even speak from this podium. But to attribute such things to me that have nothing to do with me is outrageous.
According to the Prosecutor General, Artvik Minasyan is accused because, as the former Minister of Nature Protection, he did not inform the relevant authorities about an unauthorized construction in Sevan National Park. Ana Vardapetian presented the motion to consent to the initiation of criminal prosecution against Artur Sargsyan, a deputy of the Armenia faction. According to her, Vazgen Galstanyan, Artur Sargsyan, and other persons by prior agreement prepare to carry out terrorism and usurpation of power in the period from July 2024 to March 14, 2025.
We record that the available facts are sufficient to initiate public criminal prosecution against MP Artur Sargsyan under Article 43/308 Part 1 and Article 43/419 Part 1 of the Criminal Code.
Opposition Deputy Gerhan Manukyan insisted that the prosecutor is publishing incorrect information.
You asked here 3 times. He says November 2024, May, September 2025. There's one recording from August 12, 2024 where they're talking on their feet about doing something on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross. There's nothing in any other recording about taking action.
The situation became tense during the speech of pro-government deputy Vahan Alexanian, who referred to the tire-puncturing caltrops mentioned in the motion. He is convinced that if they were thrown under a moving car, the car would most likely overturn. Ruben Rubinyan issued a warning to Artur Sargsyan and shortly after to another MP from the Civil Contract Party. The opposition insists that blocking roads, the imaginary caltrops, and other objects intended to obstruct traffic or for acts of disobedience, which are mentioned in the motion, cannot be grounds for terrorism. The pro-government deputies periodically read quotes from phone calls, insisting that the conversations prove that this is not about holding a peaceful rally.
Today, the Prosecutor General of Armenia worded employees of the Prosecutor's Office, stating with satisfaction that 2024 has exceeded even the most ambitious expectations. Anna Vartapetyan assured that the institution will rise the established bar and become a protector of those who will need it.
And I want the prosecutor's office to continue to be the resolute bastion at the forefront of strengthening legality and law and order, an official and a citizen who, under no circumstances, washes their hands of responsibility or evades it, a professional who can say no and a reasoned no, an official who cannot be bribed, an official whose door cannot be opened with disdain, an official who has no value or price that can be expressed in numbers, money, or property. That official's price is a very simple number, 0 drams. No one in the world can pay that price. I want to congratulate and thank you all.
The topic of having a new spiritual leader in Armenia remains relevant. My colleague Simon Hovanesyan has studied the election procedure and spoken with an expert. After all, what does history suggest?
Now everything is mixed up. Who suffers here? The people. They don't know whether to side with the state or the church.
On the street, we try to understand what our fellow citizens think about the Prime Minister's intention to organize an early election for the Catholicos of all Armenians.
The Armenians will have a Catholicos. We would be very happy. As for the current Catholicos, the agent is busy with his own affairs. The state should mind its own business and the church is theirs. Neither can they interfere in the other's affairs nor vice versa.
I haven't been interested. I haven't delved into the issue at all. It doesn't interest me. What interests me is my family.
But since, as you may recall, Pashinyan used to say, Armenia's is my hearth, the people are my family, the Prime Minister is offering very direct, homely solutions. There must be an early election for the Catholicos, he says. An early election for the Catholicos happens in one of three cases: when the Catholicos dies, resigns from the throne, or a vote of no confidence is passed against him. Only the National Ecclesiastical Assembly can express no confidence in the Catholicos.
There are exceptional cases when the National Ecclesiastical Assembly can examine accusations, investigations, or charges related to the Catholicos of all Armenians or the Armenian pontiffs.
With the consent of 2/3 of the National Ecclesiastical Assembly, the issue of defrocking the Catholicos can be discussed. Yet Brem Barsagan on PhD in philosophy tells of a case from the 7th century when, through the mediation of Prince Spot Bagratuni, Christopher II Apahuni was elected in a regular Catholicos election. But 2 years later, the relationship between the Catholicos and the prince deteriorated, and Spot convened another assembly to declare no confidence in the Catholicos.
You simply have to accept that today's Catholicos has done a great deal of work, and the overwhelming majority of today's clergy are simply devoted to him. They are the cadres he has cultivated. They have become bishops and vardapets under his authority. That is to say, he has created a system where he is very much respected and loved, and they will not go against him.
The next point is the Catholicos' voluntary resignation. For example, as in the case of Yeprem I of Zorayu, who resigned due to health problems.
If bishops, or let's imagine some clergymen, try to show independence or try to oppose him, they will not achieve any result because the system will work against them. The Catholicos can simply declare them defrocked, and that's it. He is removed from the church. He no longer has any power or anything.
And in the remaining case, when the Catholicos dies, according to the regulations of the National Ecclesiastical Assembly, it is the assembly itself that elects the new spiritual leader. According to the bylaws, high-ranking clergymen participate in the election along with 4 representatives each from the Brotherhood of the Mother See of Holy Echmiadzin, from the Catholicate of the Great House of Cilicia, and the same number from the Patriarchates of Jerusalem and Constantinople. Representatives from all Armenian dioceses come to the election. The number of Armenians in those regions determines how many people from the diocese will participate. At that time, a diocesan council is convened and decides who those delegates will be. Moreover, they can be both clergy and lay people. There is no restriction on their number. Simon Hovanesyan and Levon Voskian, Reopen Media.
On his Facebook page, former President of Georgia Mikhail Saakashvili wrote, and I quote, "After the unsuccessful work Pashinyan did in Armenia what I did not do in 2011-2012, capturing the Armenian Ivanishvili, the billionaire Karapetyan." He then added that the events currently taking place in the South Caucasus are a direct consequence of Russia's weakening in Ukraine, and he called on Georgian society to self-organize. Also in our focus are US-Russia relations. This time it was Putin himself who spoke about it in an interview. Let's watch a segment.
Кстати говоря, что касается Американцев у нас же всегда были.
By the way, as for the Americans, we have always had, for a very long time, very good and unique relations with the United States. We supported their struggle for independence from Great Britain. In fact, we even supplied weapons, we provided money, and so on. Then we supported the North during the war between the North and South, and so on. So, in this sense, we did find something that united us.
Lavrov also commented on the Putin-Macron phone call, characterizing Putin as a far-sighted political figure and a polite man.
Вы знаете, по-моему, ответ очевиден и...
Well, you know, the answer is obvious to you, and the answer lies in the principles that guide the President of Russia, a truly polite person, a far-sighted politician, who never, for the sake of some opportunistic ideological...
But a most sensational comment for the Caucasus was Peskov's regarding Russian-Azerbaijani relations. He spoke about being an ally of Azerbaijan.
Our embassy and our diplomatic agency are in constant contact with the Azerbaijani side and are defending the interests of the detained Russians, using all the opportunities provided for by law. That's the first thing. And by existing diplomatic practice, that's the first thing. Second, you know that our head of the investigative committee, Bostrikin, and our prosecutor general Krasnov are also in contact with the prosecutor general of Azerbaijan. And third, probably third in line, but very important, we still are supporters and believe that logic speaks of only one thing, that Russia and Azerbaijan are and must remain.
Zakharova has spoken about Zelensky's demand for a meeting with Putin. By demanding a meeting with Vladimir Putin, Volodymyr Zelensky wants to reaffirm his legitimacy by passing legal means, Maria Zakharova has stated. The second point is that he is frantically afraid that he will be forgotten, that the West will not need him, that the West will somehow push him aside. And finally, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has arrived at Andrews military base, which is located 24 kilometers from Washington, Israeli media outlets report. As part of the visit, he will meet with the U.S. President Donald Trump and hold talks with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. As Netanyahu departs for his official visit, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has made his first public appearance in recent weeks, participating in a mourning ceremony. The rest of the international news in one video.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that Russian drones have destroyed more than $2 billion worth of enemy equipment. According to him, Western governments sending weapons to Ukraine should think about what they are spending their people's money on. The more the West pursues its current anti-Russian policy, the worse they will live there, Putin noted. He called a secure and peaceful future for Russia the main goal. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has stated that deterring Russia is extremely important, as if China decides to use force against Taiwan, Xi Jinping could ask Putin to distract the Europeans by attacking NATO territory. According to him, Russia produces as much weaponry in 3 months as all of Europe does in a year. In an interview with the New York Times, Rutte referred to Sergei Lavrov and noted that he has been Russia's foreign minister since the birth of Jesus Christ. Lavrov, who has headed the Federation's foreign ministry since 2004, had said that increasing defense spending would lead to the collapse and bankruptcy of NATO member states. In Doha, the first round of negotiations on a truce in the Gaza Strip has ended without results, writes Reuters. It is noted that the parties to the conflict were unable to determine the terms of the truce, as the Israeli delegation does not have the authority to sign an agreement with Hamas. Despite this, the US president remains optimistic. Trump believes that a truce agreement in the Gaza Strip could be reached within the current week. The Israeli armed forces have carried out strikes on Houthi targets in 3 Yemeni ports, Hodeidah, Ras Isa, and Salif, as well as at the Ras Kanteb power station. A strike was carried out on the Galaxy Leader ship in the port of Ras Isa, which the Houthis had seized back in 2023. The Houthi army spokesman reported that Yemen's air defense repelled the Israeli attacks. However, in Hodeidah, the power station was put out of commission, leaving the city without electricity. The day before, the Houthis announced an attack on Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport. Their strikes caused a large fire to break out in the city of Beit Shemesh. President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. will impose an additional 10% tariff on countries that agree with the BRICS group's anti-American policy, and added that there will be no exceptions to this policy. It should be recalled that the BRICS leaders met in Brazil for a summit. Do you want a new political party? You'll get it, billionaire Elon Musk wrote on social media. When it comes to bankrupting our country with extravagance and bribery, we are living in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the American Party was formed to return your freedom. Trump called Musk's initiative ridiculous and useless for the American political system. I think creating a third party is ridiculous. The system has always been built on two parties. Third parties have never worked. Musk can have fun, but his move will just add to the chaos. In Pakistan, heavy monsoon rains and flash floods have claimed the lives of at least 66 people and another 127 have been injured. Many were swept away by a flash flood in the Swat district. In the city of Karachi, 17 people died from the collapse of a residential building.
Within the framework of the United States President's tightening of migration policy, the U.S. Embassy in Armenia has released a message for Armenians illegally residing in the U.S. If you have lied while obtaining a visa, worked without proper authorization, or have stayed in the U.S. longer than the period permitted by your visa, this could result in deportation or a permanent ban on receiving a U.S. visa in the future, the embassy's message states. The official opening of the eminent chansonnier statue is scheduled for 11 a.m. on July 18th in Aznavour Square, Yerevan's Deputy Mayor Levon Hovanesyan announced during today's session of the City Council. The selection of the statue was made by a committee together with the Aznavour Foundation and Charles Aznavour's son, Nicolas.
Dear citizens of Yerevan, on July 18th, we will carry out the opening ceremony of the Charles Aznavour statue in Charles Aznavour Square. And this is one of those exceptional cases where the Yerevan municipality has taken upon itself the entire expenditure part, because previously, the Yerevan municipality mainly accepted such works as a gift. But I think this is one of those cases where it is very right that it is the Yerevan municipality's initiative and the Yerevan municipality is financing it. Also, the selection was made together with the Charles Aznavour Foundation and Nicholas Aznavour, with a committee on what kind of statue should be installed. And I think the process took a very long time, but I think we have settled on the best option.
From July 4 to 6, Vanadzar hosted one of the most important events for the Armenian technological community, Tech Week 2025. Tech Week has long been established itself as one of the key events of the high-tech calendar. It has never been held in Yerevan and has no intention of moving there. Its main idea is to take the technological hub out of the capital and move it to another city in Armenia for 3 days. We will have more details about the Vanadzor Tech Week in our broadcast tomorrow. For now, let's watch a segment.
We have an educational piece through which children can see the educational directions, opportunities, concepts, etc. offered by the organizations operating in the community and the city at the moment, within the framework of the Expo. We also have interesting content in several directions. The topics are, of course, many, starting with and ending with the change of attitude towards education.
And to conclude, the football wizard continues to work miracles. The 38-year-old Messi never ceases to amaze. He scored another goal in the style of his compatriot Maradona, dribbling past almost the entire opposing team. Thanks to Messi's brace, Inter Miami defeated Montreal. For more updates, follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Daily news and full coverage are available on our official website. I am Sona Tumanyan. Stay informed with RENEWS.